Hello, my friends. We are in the middle of a series of devotions on Psalm 1, and I need to introduce myself because I've forgotten to do that. I'm Steve Kistler. I'm the senior minister at New Life Church of Christ, and I have been sharing these little short devotions with you for several weeks now, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. I hope you've been enjoying them as well. I have a special guest with me today. Sitting here beside me is my son Isaac, and he's going to help us along today in our devotion. Now we are in verse 2 of Psalm 1, and let me remind you what that says. Verse 2 says, "His delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night." Now in the last devotion I talked about that top line, about the law of the Lord, about the Torah and what it means. And so today I want to focus in a little bit on this bottom line. On his law he meditates day and night. Now, it is something that I had as the title of this sermon that said, what do lions have to do with Psalm 1? So Isaac was with me in Israel here recently, and that's where we learned about the connection between lions and Psalm 1. So Isaac, what is the connection between lions and Psalm 1?
It's Hagah.
Hagah. What is Hagah?
It's a Hebrew word.
It's the Hebrew word Hagah. And what does the Hebrew word Hagah have to do with lions?
It's a satisfying sound that they make when they're eating.
So the lions make this noise when they're eating, this kind of half growl, half purr, that is a satisfied sound. It's a sound that they make because they're happy and satisfied and content even as they're eating their meat, generally raw meat or whatever. But it's not the full-blown roar, and it's not a full-blown growl. It's kind of a half growl, half purr. Would you like, Isaac, to hear or see an example of lions making this noise?
I would love to.
All right, let's see what we can come up with here. Okay, so there we saw a group of lion cubs. They were chewing on a bone there and making that sound. How would you describe that sound?
It was a purr, but it was also yelling it.
Yeah, sort of growl, but it's a noise that comes not of anger, but out of satisfaction of getting to eat that meat. All right, so the lion makes this sound, this Hagah sound, and that has something to do with verse 2 here in the psalm. So the word Hagah is translated here as meditates. On his law he Hagahs, he meditates day and night. Now here's the thing about that. We tend to think of meditation in a couple of ways. There's the idea of Eastern meditation, which is the idea of just emptying your mind and letting something from somewhere fill it up. And this is definitely not what the scripture is talking about here. Mm-hmm. But then we also think of meditation as just sort of thinking about something as well, right? And that's closer to what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. But the idea of meditation is like those lions. It's they're eating, they're chewing, they're actively involved in what they're doing there. And so they are, when we meditate on the text, when we Hagah the text, we're literally eating the text, right? We're chewing on the text, we're consuming it. So that's the idea behind here, very much an active, involved kind of a thing. So Isaac, let me just ask you this question real quickly. If we are meditating in that kind of a way, what do you think that actually looks like in terms of I'm reading the scriptures and I'm meditating on it? What am I doing?
Be thinking about it and trying to learn about it and get that into you and digest it.
Yeah, one of the things that we learned in Israel was that every detail in God's word is important.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really need to look at if a city is mentioned, what do we know about that city? If a person is mentioned, what do we know about that person? If actions are mentioned or some aspect of the Jewish religion, what do we know about that? How does this all tie together? And so we're actively involved in looking at all the details and digging out all of the things that we can find so that we can better understand God's word, and then better understanding it, we can better obey it as well, right? Yeah. So that's the idea behind this verse, that we would meditate, that we would Hagah on the law day and night. Not that we would just think about it until we fall asleep, but that would be actively involved in learning and questioning and struggling with that text until we can understand it fully. So, my friends, here's my prayer for all of us, that as we are in the Word regularly, that we are not only finding joy and delight in the law and the Torah of God, the directions for life, but that we are actively involved in struggling to understand, to take that word and gnaw on it, to eat it and apply it to who we are, and so that it directs the way that we live. Have a blessed day, each and every one of you.